Okay, let's go.
Well, hello there, Chick Chatters. We're back with another Love is Blind. This one's episode 7. We're back from the party ordeal after Jimmy and Chelsea have their fight. And Jimmy decides to come up to Chelsea and apologize to her. And Chelsea says something that has to be translated because I couldn't even understand it. It was like, and it translated into, I love you and I'm here for you. She liked that he just kind of came up behind her and hugged her from the back a little bit. And she was happy. Mumbles that, as I read the translation, I love you and I'm here for you. Can't be confirmed by me, though. I rewound it a few times and was like, is that what she said?
They both were pretty drunk by the end of the party, and then while they're having this argument, they were both pretty drunk. I think it was just time for bed. They were ready to be done arguing. Thank God that they both were able to let it go, because this was just a sign of things to come.
Yeah, but they made up, so they're fine, I guess. And then they move on to Britney and Kenneth brings up his conversation with AD and the whole race thing and how their kids will perceive race and everything like that. And I was kind of like, okay, valid. It's valid to have these conversations, especially, like in the pods and stuff. Whatever. Don't know why this didn't come to your mind before now, but
It didn't even come to their mind. It came to AD's mind.
I know.
AD introduced the topic to them.
So he's having this conversation with her, and he starts being like, well, my people are going to want to see you. He says that his people are going to be concerned, and they're going to start questioning her. And I'm like, dude, just leave her alone. What are you doing over here to make things better? Why don't you tell your family how great she is and all these great things? Do you know something about your family that we don't, that they wouldn't be as accepting of her or something? Like, what does all this mean?
No, I wondered the same thing. And because he said, like, my people are going to want to make sure that you're good or that we're good. And she asked, well, what exactly does that mean? What would make us good to you? What would make you be able to say that to them? And he really had no response. He's just basically left it up to his people. And it's like, that's not the way that your people want to receive your lady. I don't think it is. I'm not your people. I don't know what they want, but I feel like if someone comes to you and says, look, I found this woman, she has these kinds of values, she's going to stand by me. I think she's strong enough. I know this because I've asked her X, Y, and Z, and she's told me X, Y, and Z. Not like, I don't know, why don't you guys find out and ask her? I haven't figured that out. Of course, that's not going to work. But you know what? I will give him the benefit of the doubt. He hasn't dated outside of his race before, and he is new to this. But he has to give some grace then in that aspect to her, because she's trying to have these conversations with him, and he's just like, I'm going to let someone else decide that.
I noticed she's still doing that identifying thing too. She's really hoping that everyone is identifying as all the right things and has good intentions. I'm like, girl.
Don't get me started on this identifying thing. Please strike identify from your vocabulary and add the word am. I am a white woman. You are a black man. Please. Please.
I know that I identify as a white woman. I'm like, girl,
This is not a clinical assessment. This is life. We're talking about people's actual human selves. He is a black man. He does not identify that way. I mean, he does also, but he is a black man. Just as if you are a white woman, not identify. You don't identify as that.
And not even just that. She was trying to figure out, was being identified as good. She's like, well, what identifies as good? Like, girl, what identifies what?
Yeah. And it's the same thing. She should have just been like, what makes us good? What is it that we can do to figure out for us to be good? Not like, what do you identify? He's just my people. Of course, his people are gonna tell him how they feel, but you need to have your own opinion about the person you're gonna get married to. Or nobody's gonna tell you that that's your person.
Right.
You're gonna be like, you don't know this lady. She's a stranger. I just can't. I can't with Ken. I do think reality set in for him a little bit with the conversation with AD, and that's okay. But have the conversation. I hope that they have more conversations about this, because they really, 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 really need to. This was just an opening of the can, but they need to jump in.
I agree with you.
Okay, so at this point, the next couple episodes, I'm gonna go in on whoever the frickin' music person is on Netflix for these episodes, because the last episodes, the first 6, they were not that bad when it came to the music. The music for these episodes, every time something happened, it was so obvious. When I'm telling you, the sun came up the next morning and the f***ing music is screaming, "Daylight, daylight." Please, I see that is the next day. I don't need the sun coming up and someone screaming daylight at me the next day. And we're gonna get so many more of these. It drove me insane.
I wonder who is the music producer.
I'm gonna pull their name up in the credits. It's gonna be dropped. And I wonder if they're different. It was so bad to the point where later on there's a song that gets played, and I'll mention that one too because this was losing my mind. But Tyler was even hearing the conversation that just happened and then the song that came on after, and he was like, "Oh, this isn't like the most obvious thing." And I'm like, "I know, I'm going crazy." Oh man. So yes, I will have a little bit of a soapbox every once in a while about this music. Sorry, chick chatters.
They're fine. Hopefully you noticed it, Chick Chatters.
Yeah.
If you didn't, go back and rewatch and listen to the music. So everyone's jumping and riding around, giving red light kisses with AD and Clay, I guess. I just don't know why they're driving when they're at a resort. It kind of threw me off. Like, are they driving to go somewhere? Usually, don't they take care of transportation? Did they drive to that dinner spot?
I think most of the driving they were doing was excursions, like the four-wheeler. I think that was an excursion that they went on. I do know AD and Clay obviously drove somewhere in a car because they were at a stoplight on the road. But I think that they were the only ones that drove. It looks like they did drive somewhere to lunch, but maybe they were driving to a different excursion that they just didn't film. I'm making all this up in my head, just trying to make sense of it. I don't know. But maybe they all drove to their excursions. I have no idea. But none of them had red light kisses. But yeah, I mean, a lot of times those things are set up by wherever you're staying. But I guess it just depends. I don't know what Netflix has them out there doing.
I don't know. But Jeremy and Laura rehashed the fight from the party, which I'm still not sure what was so wild about it, to be honest with you. It was just a miscommunication. I don't think it was the craziest thing.
I don't think so either. I think that they both embarrassed each other, like we talked about, and that's fine. What was annoying was that he got up and left. I mean, she said she wanted to talk to him about it. I think it's important that they communicate about it after that happened. Like, they shouldn't just embarrass each other in public and then go home and not say anything to each other about it. So she said she was going to talk to him about it, and then he was like, "I love that for me," and he just left. And that's the last we saw of them. So apparently he came home and he just slept on the couch. And when she approached him, he wouldn't talk to her, totally stonewalled her. I would not be a fan of that at all. And what's stupid about him doing that is he probably could have gotten an apology from Laura if he would have just been open to communicating. Because I feel like Laura was in the wrong at the party. I think she told him a story. Maybe she didn't want him to say that, but she didn't make it clear to him she didn't want him to say or do anything. She, in fact, told him to do more than what he did. And then she tried to push it all off on him like it was his fault when the joke went bad. I don't like that. I think that that was mean of her to do. I think she put him in a weird position. He had to go around apologizing to everybody. And he played himself by going home and acting like an asshole because then he had to do all the apologizing the next day and take accountability for all of it, including her ridiculous things that happened at the party, just so that she could be happy. And she still was like, "Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get married now, not to be dramatic." It's like, what do you mean? I agree. I wouldn't be super sure after that interaction between both of you either. It doesn't seem like either one of them are bringing out the greatest in each other.
Totally. And they do end up squashing the beef. Then Jeremy asks Lauren to rank the other couples in the competition. Where do you think we are amongst the couples? And I'm like,
You guys are maybe 3 or 4.
I don't even know how many couples there are, but you're definitely like 4 or 5 to me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
at this point, probably 4 because at this point I'm a little leery on Chelsea and Jimmy. So then they would probably be above them, and then, the rest of them.
My number one being AD and Clay, but
At this point, my number one was Amy and Johnny.
oh yeah, speaking of them, we actually go to them and they go horseback riding through the woods.
Oh, and guess what? The music is saying, "It's so easy to love."
I wonder if this is like their own soundtrack that they pay for these
Maybe.
songs and recordings and things, or if they
I
go
would not be
catalog
surprised
everything.
with how illustrative they are. They're just ridiculously, cheesily illustrative of exactly what's happening in front of you. I can't.
Especially since the next thing they talk about is how they don't fight yet, but they need to.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that's all they really talk about, that they wanna argue.
yeah, they just want to
I think he
argue.
says something like, "It's gonna be really bad, and I feel really bad." Like, he already feels bad about the argument that they're gonna have. I get that they wanna have that moment to see how each other responds to conflict, to see what your tone of voice is like. Do you raise your voice? Do you call me a mean name? Conflict is important. It's not like you're never gonna have it. It's just, how do you have it? I agree with them. I mean, I don't know what you have to argue about in Mexico if you guys really like each other, but
Right?
or keep
They're
saying chicken butt.
hoping for something, you know.
Yeah.
So Amy tells him about her meddling parents, so maybe that'll be a plot. And she tells him that her dad especially doesn't agree with the love is blind process. And
Right.
her parents are not happy about her being there, and then says that Johnny would probably need her dad's blessing to move out. I'm like, so you're setting him up for
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's best that he knows where the bar is. You better present your best self that day.
that one shot,
Yep. If you had one shot,
one opportunity.
just use it, Amy, and everything you ever wanted. I'm done. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
It's fine. We go from one awkward Amy and Johnny rant to then the awkwardest boat ride of my entire life. No one speaks for whole minutes. And to rewatch this, I had to probably sit in silence a total of 6 to 10 minutes of silence. Just
Yeah.
watching them look around. And then Brittany awkwardly trying to maybe talk and Kenneth looking like,
Did she say to him, "It's nice to get you out in the ocean"? Did she say that?
yes, she did.
I don't know what she meant by that, but I raised my eyebrow. I will say that.
Well, he's been with the Dolphins before, so I was gonna say maybe he
Yeah.
hasn't been out in the ocean, but maybe she just wanted
Don't
to
they
do
live, like, in
something.
a Carolina? Isn't there a whole ocean?
Probably.
That's a coastal state.
Yeah.
I don't know what she meant. Maybe it was edited strange, but yeah, I kind of laughed at that. I could have sworn, I'm like, maybe I missed something, but she just said it. I think she was just trying to make conversation, but
She was dying to make conversation.
she was like, clicking her nails on the boat, and I felt really bad for her. My heart was kind of broken here. I'm like, what the hell, Ken? Did something happen? I was waiting for, sometimes the couples will have a fight and it won't happen on camera, but we'll come to them the next day and you can tell something's off, and then they get to talking and nothing happened. So I was just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't think she really knew what was going on either. But she looked beautiful. He could have talked
Mhm.
about that for the whole boat ride in her little blue bathing suit with her skirt going.
Nah, nah, he didn't wanna do that. He just kept squinting off into the distance until he saw a dolphin. And then
Dolphin.
apparently dolphins are his identity. That's what
He's
he
got a he
identifies with.
has a dolphin keychain. I wanna see it. I want him to post it on his Instagram. I gotta see it. Or were you just trying to make conversation at this point, Ken?
He's even like, "You got me talking now."
I know, and that's when I started to get mad because I was like, "Oh, so you know that you're withholding conversation from this woman. You know you are. It's not just something you're in your head or you're zoned off or you took too many drugs in the DR. No, you know you're not talking and you're just sitting there." I think
And
that's so mean.
I do too. And poor Brittany's like, "I wish I had a dolphin with me all the time."
She's like, "Can we order dolphins every day?"
Honestly, I didn't know he liked dolphins that much either, but he must not have really talked about that much in the pod, which is interesting.
Uh-huh, and so guess what the music does now, Miss Anne?
Bloop, bloop, bloop.
No, but that would be funny.
It did do Hannah Montana the one time. The music for this whole show has been weird.
It has. It says, "Little did I know you break my heart." That's what it sings, but I'll spare you guys.
So very telling. So Brittany and Kenneth, they're still showing them. Driving me nuts. There's not much going on here, but they move them to the front of the boat, hoping that that'll help if they just lay on the front of the boat. And Kenneth, even, I know we're not at the phone stuff yet, but even before having phones, was like acting like he had a phone when he didn't have a phone. Like he'd just be gazing. She is then left to try to start a conversation with him and initiate it every single time, but she's telling him that he could touch her more, and he's just shook by this. He's like, well, I've never heard that I'm not affectionate before.
She was like, does it make you feel better that you can touch me more, that I don't think that you're, too much? And he said, no, it's not that it makes me feel better. It gives me more insight. And I noticed after the second watch, so I have hindsight here, but I feel like if it gives him insight, like insight as to what? Insight as to how he feels around her, because that's how it's starting to look.
Yeah. So she then entertains herself with Ken's hand for a while and he stares off and thanks.
So quiet. I couldn't. I know that's the title of the episode or whatever, but geez Louise, they're usually
there was a lot going on there, but glad she could find something to do.
Yeah.
Because he's not giving. He's giving absolutely nothing. So Clay and AD decide to go get some soup and shrimp. And they talk about sports for a minute in Boston, I guess. But honestly, the only thing I could concentrate on this entire scene was the way they were eating. And also Netflix keeps trying to throw food at me, and I'm not gonna pretend that it might be a coincidence. Like I really think there's a reason they're showing me this food all the time. It's a theory.
That's very true.
But I just have been watching Love is Blind since it came out, and I just do not remember seeing much food. Not saying I've never seen food on there, but definitely not very much. And now I'm seeing buffets like once an episode, and I'm seeing so much food. It's like, okay, I get it. You're feeding them.
And honestly, it probably was there before. They just didn't show it to us. But yeah, I mean, we're getting a lot more eating dates, a lot more food. Every time there's a mixer, there's a buffet, there's taquitos to Jimmy's liking.
I'm telling you that this man eats exactly like Dean. I was just sitting there in awe, shook, watching this man eat. He was slurping down the bowl. He was doing all the extra, like...
He's all excited. He's dipping his little...
having a ball. And then at the end, he stacked all of the plates. I'm like, this man is Dean. And even moved all the stuff onto one plate. And Dean's never worked in a restaurant. The only other people I see who stack plates like that have worked in a restaurant at some point in their life.
Right. And AD was giving him that stink eye that she does. The close one eye and opens another one, which she's really good at it. So I give her props for that stink eye. But she was giving him that. And at first I couldn't figure out why, but I think she thought he was being rude to the wait staff. He said thank you for him to the wait staff. And then I also noticed too, people feel a certain way about pre-busing. Sometimes they appreciate it, sometimes they don't like it because it's not the way that they would do it. And I wonder if she, being in the food industry, the service hospitality industry, I think she didn't like the way he was doing that. Not that he was doing it, but I don't know. Her face wasn't feeling it.
I don't know if that was editing though, or what. That just was weird shots of her.
I mean, the whole time they were eating, she was like, the whole thing was awkward for AD. And then after it was awkward for AD, it's all quiet. And then she's like, what's on your mind? And he is like, I just don't want to let you down.
Yeah, he's like, I just want to take it all in. He just stares off into the distance for a moment after he ate everything he could. But he says he's trying to be present and he's worried he's going to let her down. And I'm like, trying to be present. You were very present. You were just eating your food. That's all.
I think he meant he was trying to not get in his head or think about the future, in the future. But no, I'm like, sir, it's okay. It's going to be okay.
Okay, because I was more like 80 when she's like, "What just happened?"
Right. No, I think he does not do a great job of expressing himself, but by the third time I watched this, because Chick Shatters, I watched this so many times and I got all the way through the 8th episode pretty much to the very end, and then I highlighted everything in my notes. And I was like, "Okay, this is a big deal. Just take a deep breath and do the right thing." What did I do? I pressed H and it all became H. And I didn't know. Anne told me a couple hours
Mm,
later that you could
Sorry, I
wiggle.
was at work.
It's okay. It's not your fault. You could wiggle your phone and then you can undo your delete. So I watched this several times. I've changed my mind about a couple of things several times, but I do think in this situation with AD and Clay, I think what he was trying to say is, I'm trying to be in this moment. I'm trying to be excited about what's going on, but all I really know is that things end badly. I think he's trying not to worry about that so much. But I think he's
AD.
feeling the pressure. I liked that she just gave him her hand. She was like, "Okay, just hold my hand, you crazy man."
Here you go. And then they show a bunch of montages of the couples getting up and
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
And the only thing I have to say about that is Clay and AD in them glasses are just so damn cute.
I
And
wish they would go out of the house like that. I understand why they don't. They both like to look good, but they look good in
I
their
feel like,
little glasses and hair, and
yeah, I feel like together they look amazing with that little get up
the Geek
glasses.
Squad look. That's what they call it.
Then they pan over to Jimmy and Chelsea, who are too drunk to start the day, but they're gonna go to that cast party anyways and go to the beach.
They probably are. That's what was going on with them. Oh my god. I know
They're
that
like
they
shotgunning stuff or whatever. I
right.
don't know
And
what
I
they're
know
it's
they
supposed to be a
started
drink
hooking up,
thing.
but I just yeah, makes sense.
This event also has food and buffets, so don't be worried about them eating because they're definitely feeding these people in Mexico for sure. So
Mhm.
if Netflix is around, there's a buffet this season.
It's
So
true.
we will be having weight issues after a while because I feel like we will be seeing a plate in every scene.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yep. So they started squealing and tasseling around because honestly, I don't know, these people when they meet up, they get just really excited and start like screaming around each other and they just have weird conversations. Like all they do is ask people if they've hooked up or not and just
Yeah.
squeal and run
And
around.
it's always the Instagram meme talk or whatever, like, not me being excited and cute with my man.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
it's a lot. I mean, obviously, you're not gonna get deep with all these people on TV, but yeah, I get what you're saying. They do kinda interact a little different with
Well,
each other.
the main thing they keep asking each other is if they've hooked up or not. And I'm like, I know the show's that's a part of it, but man, y'all got nothing else to ask.
The producers must be pushing that. They must be like, "Bonus points for Gryffindor if you get it out."
An extra on your paycheck. So, yeah, you get so many points and then you get a bonus or
Yeah.
something. If you cause drama, you get a different bonus or something like that,
Oh,
yeah.
AD's collecting that check because she has a plethora of men coming to her to apologize for their behavior for the first time that they
Yes. Yeah, Jimmy is the first. He talks to her and tells her that her ass helped elevate him to the next level in their relationship, and she really enjoyed that.
She
So,
loved that for her, for Chelsea, for him, for
for
all of them,
everyone,
for Clay,
for Netflix, for everybody.
for Chick Chat universe.
So then we see Laura talking to Johnny about Amy's sexual energy. And I'm like, what is up with you people?
I know.
That conversation was so strange to me. And
It
then
was.
they talk about her not being on birth control, which is this is the first time that I feel like I'm learning this.
Yeah, this is the first indicator to me that maybe they're not actually doing what adults do. They're just doing everything else that teenagers do. Teenagers
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing those things, but I think you guys know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Johnny's
He's
yeah,
shook. He's like, "Every
is
woman I've
not
ever
fair.
dated has been on birth control." He thinks that women get their periods and they just come with birth control. Like, he's
The
just like,
package deal. It comes with
can't
a
even believe
tampon.
it. Yeah, and so Laura does a good job of informing him too that, and maybe Amy told him about this, but Laura's like, sometimes birth control, women can't use it. It causes all kinds of problems for some people. I mean, the large
Mhm.
majority of women can use a birth control. There's lots of different kinds, but some people just can't. Hormones can really mess up your system. They can cause all kinds of problems. So
Yeah.
We should not be pushing these things on people unnecessarily. That's for sure.
I don't know. But I do kind of sus Netflix for even bringing up this whole birth control thing without Amy even being a part of the conversation to be the one to
True.
kind of bring it up.
Eventually, she will become part of the conversation, so maybe that's why they opened it up here. But no, that's a good point. I think you're right with that.
A little strange to talk about her
It is.
reproductive system.
It is.
But so then A gets her second awkward conversation of the day with Jeremy after he apologizes for the bean dip dilemma
Mhm.
of 2023, I'm assuming.
If he would have just acted normal after all of that, he probably wouldn't have really had anything to feel like he had to apologize for. He probably would have told Laura that they should all go talk to each other. But Laura's over there having her cocktail while Jeremy has to apologize to AD.
She's already
Has
moved
to get in
on.
line behind Jimmy. I'm shocked at myself right now that I'm keeping track of Jeremy, Jimmy, Johnny, Amy, all these yees and
Basic
G's.
ass names.
Crazy.
Basic ass names. These are all names from a 1950s children's book.
Chelsea, Jimmy, Jeremy, Amy, John.
We're in the Carolinas, Brooke. So Jeremy does offer AD a little nugget, a little truce nugget about
Mhm.
Clay.
An important
And
one.
yep, and he lets her know that if he just kind of goes off thinking on his own, then he just needs to go off and think on his own.
Yeah.
I was like, how enlightening, Jeremy.
She
AD
needed that though,
needed it.
because when she was asking him at lunch what was going on, maybe she doesn't need to know every single thing that's going on in his head. Maybe he needs to just sit for a minute and process and have his
Mhm.
thoughts. He was being honest with her about what was on his mind, and then she was like, "Whoa, I don't know if I want to know all that." So I think it was good for her to know. She said it was a confidence booster, I think, because
Mhm.
I think she thought that he was starting to get in his head about her, and to know that he's just a guy that gets in his head sometimes, I think was good for her to hear. And then I noticed AD was, like, talking to Clay. They were, like, kissing on each other, asking each other how everything was going. And Ken shows us a little bit of personality for a second. He's said that he's turned on by them. He's like, "Oh, not me getting turned on. Oh, okay, Ken, like, you actually do have a personality. You do smile."
Pastor Ken. That's the only
Pastor
thing he
Ken,
said
getting
at
turned
that
on
whole.
by love.
Yeah.
He's capable. That's what's scary.
So then Amy is talking to Jeremy about Johnny and never living with a guy before. And she's worried about her dad meeting Johnny. And then she just kind of switches the topic before Jeremy can say what he even thinks about anything she just said. She said a bunch of stuff. And she's like, okay, so what about you?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, how's the physical stuff?
there must be a bonus anytime somebody asks a question
There
about
has to be.
physical something, whether it be appearance, Jessica, anything.
Yeah. 20 points for Jessica.
Jessica.
Laura's wanting to go get that bag later too. That
Oh,
Jessica
hell
bag.
yeah. She brought it her right to the bar for it.
Mhm.
So, because Laura came with a roadmap through conversations, it was a better pick for Jeremy. And he explains this. That's what I got of it. Just because Laura came with a better roadmap on how to go through conversations in life, she
Right,
came with
yeah.
instructions, and
Mhm.
Sarah did not. He did not pick Sarah. He picked the one with instructions. Although we all know men don't read the manual. What are you talking
They
about?
don't.
You can give them
And
instructions. What does that help?
even if they do, they're usually like, "Oh, I know a better way. I don't need that tool they gave me. I have a different one." Like, it's always something else with them. He does say though that he would be open to meeting and being friends with Sarah. And we both noticed this the day that they said goodbye to each other in the pods, that they were like, "Okay, see you later."
Yeah, they're like, "See you later."
So now he's openly admitting to people, which is important for the future, that he would be open to being friends with her, not to closing the door to her, to being friends with her.
Special friends. They go to Jimmy and Chelsea alone, who are talking about the bad parts of their day. They just kind of said bye party and they put them alone. I don't even know. I stopped paying attention during Jimmy's story about the chip and the cutting of his mouth and the blood and the this and the that, the
Yeah,
Tostito.
that was a lot.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. At first I thought I was just making up a story to tell her because she was asking him like, what do you think about? What do
Mhm.
you think about? What's the bad
She
part of
asks
your
a
day?
lot of questions all the time. "What's your favorite thing? What's your least favorite thing? What do you like about me? What do you think other people are gonna think about this?"
See, that is the worst parts of me. And you know what? I finally figured out who she looks like. No Megan Fox, but Katy Perry. I feel like
I heard that online too.
Katy Perry, or they do say Carrie Underwood in here. I feel like if
Mhm.
Carrie Underwood, Katy Perry, maybe a little bit of Ashley Simpson had a baby together, could be Chelsea.
It's true.
And you could throw in Megan Fox for her light eyes and dark hair, but just wanted to get that out there. I finally figured it out. It's bothering me.
Mm.
Apparently, all this food is the worst part of Jimmy's day. So Netflix, you've been warned. The food needs to go. It's ruining Jimmy's life. He's cut his mouth.
It won't
Can't
even be the last time we hear about this lip problem.
He says that his favorite part, though, was whipping her around in a car. I'm like, "Okay, odd way to put it." And
She didn't
her
like that either.
it was strange. And then hers was waking up in the morning and him being sweet. And I'm like, "Okay, pretty okay conversation."
I think there was more to this suite. I think they
Yeah, yep, okay. Now that you say that, that makes more sense.
I think that was
So
maybe the first time because, I mean, they just had that fight about AD, so they didn't that night, and then the next day, I think, was the mixer, and then they did, I think, that.
that makes more sense to me now.
I think they
So,
did it in the morning.
right in the morning.
Right away in the morning. "Let's have a good day," he said.
So Johnny and Amy are drinking and swimming, and Johnny does the chicken butt thing to try to annoy her. I think he's trying to instigate that first fight. I think
Yes.
that's what he was hoping for. It's not really
Mhm,
working that much because all she really does is laugh and be like, "Ha ha ha
mhm.
ha."
I think she still
No.
has, like, and I don't mean this in a mean way, I mean this in a nice way. She still has enough immaturity about her that she can let a lot of things that would annoy someone like Laura
Laura could never.
could
No,
never. But also, I mean, Jeremy, he's kind of annoying too.
this is true. They get into her dad again being very involved in her relationships. I feel like they're really trying to set up this meeting with the dad. I know I
I wonder
haven't
if it's
seen
even
it.
gonna happen.
It must. I don't know, they keep building it up for some reason. She says that he gets involved in her relationships to the point where it has a negative impact, and it's like, "Okay, girl, like, you gotta start having boundaries with your parents as well." Your parents can have an opinion, but it's your body at the end of the day. Just like you don't wanna do the whole birth control thing, you should be able to decide who you are inviting to your body and all types of things around that,
And the
so
rest of your own life. But I do
so
get that she said, especially with marriage, it's gonna be hard for her not to feel an influence because I do think, and Johnny agreed, that when it comes to marriage, your family and input is important. But he said it best, I think. I want to know what my family has to say, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be the one that makes that decision, regardless of
Mhm,
what they think. So we'll
right.
see. He really is trying to feel
Um
out that argument.
She doesn't go for it though. She says that it's her dad's blessing or they're not
Yeah,
gonna be able to get married.
you're
Girl, you
right.
can kinda go on here with that kinda attitude. Most people don't agree with this whole process of the show. Everybody's parents are generation after boomer. I don't even know what that is, or boomer themselves. They don't know what Love is Blind is about. Of course there's gonna be objections. How are you gonna accept people on the show who are like, "I either get my dad's permission or no?" I get the
Mhm.
importance of that. I get that being a thing. But if you already know your dad's not a fan of this whole thing, do you really think the probability is good? I don't
True.
know.
True.
Weird to me. Now everyone's gonna go back to Charlotte and
Officially
the
21 days to the weddings.
the Lachey's welcome us back to Charlotte, and I can't tell if they're in front of a green screen or if they're actually there. So
Who cares?
I never know. But everybody moved into these like townhouse duplex things, and
Mhm.
everyone is unpacking. Jeremy and Lauren get right into whose stuff goes where and the rules of the land and
Be a
all of
barnyard animal.
everything. And
Mhm.
if Jeremy's messy at all, she's not here for it at all. Girl, yeah.
No. We're about to see, though, she's gonna be the messy one probably and all. Well, I don't know. We get to Kenneth and Brittany, and this is where we see some of the tension from the Dominican Republic, like, coming into the real world too. He now has his phone, and so in addition to not really interacting with her. He's also on his phone all the time. I get it. It's his first time back having his device. He kind of explains that he misses his friends and family and he has to make sure, his school didn't burn down or anything. So I get that. I don't know what Brittany does. Does it say what she does? I
She
imagine
said she
she
used to be a teacher, but I don't know what she is now.
but yeah, I mean, she gets to unpacking and all of that. I did kind of feel bad for her because she's kind of pacing around the house, I think waiting to unpack with him. She asked if he was gonna unpack. He's like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll get to it." And then he never got to it. So it's not that he has to, but I think she was just trying to figure out what the hell they were about to do together and kind of nest in their new abode. And then I think this is where he asked her to cook dinner too.
Well, he kind of chilled on his phone and stuff.
Yeah, he's like, "We'll enjoy it together." Do you wanna order food or cook? He
Enjoy
said you
it.
can cook.
And we'll enjoy it.
I died. I was like, "Oh, Ken, this is not for me. This is the most disrespectful thing you've ever said."
Well, when they're literally unpacking, they probably don't even have food to
Right,
cook.
well, that's I think she said, "Do you wanna order food or make it?" Because she wanted to order food and she wanted him to be like, "Yeah, let's do something easy, make it easy for you." He had no such thing. He said, "No, woman, you better get in that kitchen.
He says, we'll enjoy it. Make me a grilled cheese
I'll
sandwich.
enjoy it with you."
Grilled cheese sandwich and tomato soup. Anything's fine. And mind you, when you go to his kitchen later, there's freaking nothing in it. So,
I'll get to that.
oh,
But we go to
yeah.
AD and Clay. They cuddle up on the couch for a minute. They fit easily enough on the couch, so Clay is satisfied. And they anticipate meeting their families because they both have talked to their families at this point, and their families are excited to meet everybody. So they're talking about what that's going to be like. They're both excited. And then he brings up these fears again, which I guess is a good thing for him to continue to be open about. But he talks about that he, like, doesn't really have many models to look at when it comes to Black marriages and what it looks like to be faithful and not cheat and things like that. And I kind of feel bad for him. I
Mhm.
wish that he had more models in his real life. I know that there's not a lot of models out there in like pop culture,
No.
you know, all of that, it's all bad, especially, gosh, he mentioned P. Diddy, and I'm sure that this all happened before we learned about P. Diddy. But, like, those are the people that he's talking about looking up to, and his dad, and what his dad did,
Mhm.
and all of this. So I did feel really bad for him in this moment because I can tell he's really happy, and is like, "Wow, I really want to be in this forever and make her the
Mhm.
happiest person in the world," and he's worried that his demons are gonna catch up with him. So, I'm starting to feel for him a little bit more. At first, I thought that it was just maybe an excuse for when he cheats, but I think he really is struggling.
Right. Well, especially when you've been through that growing up and you've seen that,
Yeah, that's all you see, that is all you know.
it's
So,
like normal.
that's where they leave us. They just kinda drop us off there. I think they had some ridiculous music.
Yeah, well, there'll be
So,
a whole
alright,
season of ridiculous
chatters.
music.
I have more. I have more. I'll be singing the next couple episodes, so stay tuned.
All right, we'll catch you later, chick chatters.
Bye.